Welcome to Pioneer FX. Today is the 14th of November, 3 p.m. here in the UK. So just looking at the week ahead, the economic preview for this upcoming week, we have US and China factory and retail sales updates, plus the UK jobs data. So the coming week will bring impact insights into the economic trends in the US and China at the start of the fourth quarter, most notably via industrial production and retail sales. Retail sales updates for October. Concerns are centered on the extent to which supply chain issues are limiting US outputs and whether ongoing COVID-19 related disruptions are again affecting China's factories. Similarly, while some alleviation of Delta wave infections will have likely helped support US consumer spending, tightened restrictions due to its zero COVID policy may have hurt China's high streets. However, while factory PMI data deteriorated for both US and China in October, the more consumer-focused services sector PMIs rose. The focus in Europe will be on the UK as the Bank of England ponders whether to start hiking interest rates. Inflation data look set to show further acceleration of price pressures, but more uncertain will be the impact of these higher prices on consumer spending. So via updated retail sales numbers and whether wage pressures are rising. So there's a lot going on this upcoming week. We do have the interest rate decision for the UK. We do have retail sales for US and China. And there's a lot happening this upcoming week, but not as much as last week. So just to touch up on the start of this week, Monday the 15th, we've got Japan GDP. So that will be a key one to watch out for. It is a lagging indicator. However, we do know that Japan are relatively doing well, looking at their PMIs. And also we do have China retail sales pushing through to this week. We also have Australia RBA meeting minutes, something to keep an eye out of. And also the UK employment change. Eurozone GDP, so there's major GDP figures coming out this upcoming week together with retail sales for the US. And pushing through on Wednesday, we've got Australia wage price index that may have an effect on the fundamental shift. UK inflation, Canada CPI inflation as well. And then Thursday, we've got the usual US jobless claims, but not much happening on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have the CPI core inflation for Japan, consumer confidence for the UK. And to finish off the week, we have the UK retail sales as well as Canada. So not much towards the end of this week, but it looks like midweek will be a key one to keep an eye out of on Wednesday, especially, as well as Tuesday and Monday as well. So let's dive into our spreadsheet here. Currently looking at the fundamentals now, we could say that, yes, Australia is really up there at this moment in time, sitting at that 37 mark. And the weakest so far, we've got Mexican peso together with Euro and Canada, as well as other currencies as well, like New Zealand. Swiss franc forward looking into Swiss franc, it currently looks bullish together with the Japanese yen. This is so long as volatility pushes up. We will dive into volatility shortly. Just wanted to have a look through each and every currency at this moment in time. CFTC review for Australia here. We can say that commercial hedges have been decreasing their contracts. They've been buying for quite some time. Now they're decreasing. And now large speculators, I mean, the shift has started to happen now. So large speculators looking to push this one higher, fundamentally driven. Australia does look extremely bullish at this moment in time based off what we can currently see. Pushing through to Canada now, CFTC review here, you could say that it has been consolidated for quite some time here for Canada, since the start of September, it's been up and down here, but now we can say that large speculators, what happened there? So currently large speculators are currently shifting to push higher, as well as retail traders are above that zero mark. So there's a lot of buyers coming into the market. So long as oil pushes down and melts down towards our 69 figure and 59, we could expect to see Canada push down too. Looking at this from the fundamental point of view, it's currently ranked at 29. So sort of neutral, but more or less leaning towards that sort of bearish scenario for Canada. Pushing through to Swiss franc now. Swiss franc is similar to Australia in terms of what we can currently see here. At this moment in time, oops, where's my pen? Yeah, so at this moment in time, large speculators are overall short, but now we can start to see the table starting to shift slightly over here, start of November. Commercial hedges have started to position themselves to go long. So what to expect for Swiss franc is a direct push up, but do note retail traders are overall net short because the zero mark is here, but they're slowly starting to turn as well to push up. So we could potentially see a retracement first for the Swiss franc before those higher prices in the future. And do note, guys, Swiss franc is currently sitting at 34 neutral stance in terms of fundamentals. For euro, it's been relatively quiet for euro, currently consolidated looking at the CFTC report. However, looking at the fundamental point of view, it is currently sitting at that neutral sort of stance at 28. 28 neutral for the euro. It did come from around 32 or 34, starting to push down even further. So we could see some further weakness for euro to portray, but we at the moment looking at this, large speculators are not looking to take this anywhere just yet. So we need to have a better idea as to what is currently happening with the large speculators first before we jump into euro. Pushing through, guys, we do have the interest rate decision for the UK. And looking at this, guys, since back in July, the pound has been consolidating for quite some time now, and it is due a shift pretty imminently. But in terms of direction here now, we don't have a direction as to where they're looking to take this, but it looks like the table has turned for the large speculators. They're looking to push this one higher. However, the hedges are overall net short. So still no sort of forward guidance as to where they're looking to take this. So I will keep a close watch on it in terms of fundamental shift. As it is where it stands at the moment, it's currently sitting at 34. So relatively bullish in terms of the data outlook here, what we can currently see. However, looking at the bigger picture here, currently staying away from the pound until we see some clearer guidance as to where they're looking to take this. The yen, we are overall long for the yen. Fundamentals is relatively strong. However, the large speculators at this moment in time, they're overall net short. Retail traders are overall net short. As you can see here, the zero mark is here. However, hedges have currently maxed out here. So expecting to see a turnaround, a shift. So the moment they've given up their contracts, we could start to see the table turn for the yen, but overall they're sort of net short. So it's a bit risky for the yen. However, long term we could potentially gauge for Japanese yen to gain stronger in the future, so long as volatility pushes up. Right, let me get rid of the pen. How do you wipe this out? So looking at Mexican peso here, let me just clear my screen. So looking at the Mexican peso, the overall net long in terms of hedges, the overall long, and large speculators are overall short. So we could see a further shift down for the Mexican peso. Do bear in mind the fundamentals are extremely weak here. So overall bias long-term is short, but we could potentially start to go long from these extreme lows because it's been low for quite some time. And as you can see here, the hedges have been extremely long. So we could potentially see in the future a bit more strength kicking in for the Mexican peso. But for now, still currently extremely short. Just as we currently see it in terms of the fundamental bias for the Mexican peso. Pushing through to New Zealand now. Overall ranking at 31, which is relatively bullish. However, large speculators are also bullish. Overall net long here, as you guys can see it. Hedges have been shorting this one. So overall, the price of New Zealand has been ticking up. However, it looks like the tables could start to turn from these maximum highs over here. So we could potentially see a shift lower for New Zealand, just due to the fact that overall hedges have been shorting this since September. So the moment they give up their contracts, we could potentially see some weakness kicking in for Australia. Pushing through now, we'll have a look at the dollar, and then we'll start to dive into some charts just to work out, just to see really where the best areas of entries are for these trades that we're currently looking at this moment in time. And yeah, if you guys got any questions, feel free to just ask me and I'll try my best to answer them. Dollar here, overall, net long in terms of fundamentals here, around 34. The PMIs are well above the 50 mark. The only thing that is a major concern in terms of the dollar is the inflation. It is 3 times higher than the target, that's sitting at 6.2. This is a major concern for the dollar. However, everything else looks extremely good for the dollar. But looking at this from a bigger picture, overall large speculators are net long. So what to expect for this one is the moment we start to see a shift kicking in for small speculators here, because at the moment, the small speculators, at the moment, you can see here, retail traders have started to go short from these highs. Hence the reason why we started to see some price action pushing higher. So from these highs now, most traders are going to be buying the dollar, expecting it to go up. We do the exact opposite. So the moment we start to see some buying pressure kicking in for the dollar, we take it to the opposite side. Hedges have been short in this for quite some time since back here. Hence the reason why we started to see price shift up. But there's only so much room they could actually push higher. So I reckon from around 95, 96, we're going to start to see some weakness kicking in off the back of the dollar, purely off the back of the inflation reading that we actually that was actually released last week for the dollar. So on my point of view is basically, yeah, sell the dollar. It looks extremely weak based off of inflation, as well as what the big boys are currently doing. It looks like they're going to be short in this one from these extreme highs. So let's dive into the charts now. let's have a closer look at this. So we're currently looking at, let's have a look at VIX first before we push on to anything else. So looking at volatility here, we did get that spike of volatility since last week, and then it pushed down lower towards the end of last week. So the start of last week was around the 8th, which was around here. You can see that it pushed up high above this area here, and then melted just below 18. So what to expect now through to this week is the same sort of scenario to play out as per last week. So expecting to see volatility push higher. So what to expect through to this week, or potentially could it even come down to these lows first before breaking these highs towards 25. Yeah, expecting 25 as our target through to this week, but we could hit some extreme lows before that push or that rise higher. Pushing through now with oil, this was a great trade from last week. We managed to catch it actually at around 84.6 around here, as I did mention last week on Wednesday that we could have a retracement, which we did have, and then price just melted down. So what to expect now from these highs is there's a lot of buyers coming in here as well. So let me just copy this and paste it right here. Buyers there, and we could also see some buying pressure coming in purely off the back of what we can currently see here. Let me just get rid of some lines just to have a bit more clarity here. So what to expect through to this week now, we've hit these lows, so we'll probably shift this one up here. So we could clearly say that there's buyers coming into this market right here. So what to expect now through to this week is we could have that push higher to bring in some more buyers. It could also spike right the way above this sort of descending trend line before melting down. So what to expect is we could see a push higher through to these highs before melting down back towards 79.4, another retracement higher, and then target 76, target 75.5, and then 74 will be ideal. Zoom right back out. We could also see 69 in the future, so expecting to see 69 as our long-term sort of target, but before that target is met, we could have a massive spike up towards even 86 even, to wipe out as many buyers before that major move, that major shift down lower towards 69. So do bear that one in mind. We could have these scenarios most likely to be played out. 86 will be a beautiful sell, actually, a beautiful sell opportunity for oil. USD Swiss franc, we've been calling for shorts here for quite some time. We managed to profit from these falls here, and again here, and now it did retrace back up towards the end of last week. Now what to expect now through to this week? Just get rid of this, clear a bit of lines. So what to expect now through to this week? So this descending trend line here, we'll keep a close watch on it. 0.1, 0.2, this is that third touch of that trend line. It looks like it has broken out and it's firing away, pushing for it to go down. But what to expect now here from these highs? I'll zoom right out. Actually, that's too far away. We'll look at it, we'll focus on current price. We could have that spike higher once more. Bam, spike higher around 115. That would be a beautiful place to actually place a pending order even before we get that meltdown towards our 113 target, 112 and 111. But our long-term target of 109 is yet to be met. And we will keep a close watch on this one. Or we could have another scenario whereby it pushes right the way down, attracts buyers into the market. Another push down, retracement, push down, boom, towards 109. So these two scenarios most likely to be played out. I do fancy catching another sell opportunity from these highs. So do keep an eye, close watch on USDJPY. That would be a perfect area to actually start to look for some shorts for USDJPY. Palladium, this was a beautiful trade last week, actually. We did manage to catch it from these lows here, and all the way back down here, even back in the start of October, to be honest. At the moment, you can say that there was a lot of sellers here. They've been taken out now. What to expect now through to this week? We could eminently, we didn't quite get that discount that we got last week. So what to expect now for Palladium? Potentially a push down lower, attract more sellers into the market before we get to 2200. So still expecting 2200 as our long-term target. You could even shoot right up towards the start of that this week, gauge some more sellers into the market before we see 2274. So these two scenarios most likely to be played out. If it goes down even lower, that will be even better for our risk to reward. In terms of psychological stop loss, that's the best place to put it. 1750 is nice and safe. If we do get a major retracement, 1880 would be a beautiful place to start to position ourselves for another long opportunity. Let's just cross-check Palladium with our CFTC report that was issued last week. I believe is similar. Nothing major has changed, to be honest, but let's just have a closer look at it. So for Palladium, yeah, so large speculators are overall shorts and they've actually maxed out on those shorts. So expecting to see this turn, this shift, a bit like what happened previously. I'm expecting to see another shift here. Purely because a lot of retail traders have started to sell this now. So expecting to see a shift higher in the future. So bias hasn't changed there for Palladium. So, and plus, if we do get that weakness for the dollar kicking in, this is going to shoot right up. AUDCAD, what a beautiful trade from Sunday last week. I did mention to you guys, this is a discounted rate at 88.6 for AUDCAD. And from that point onwards, we started to push up just around 70 pips into profit. What to expect now from these highs is potentially the following. So let me just get rid of these lines. We could get another retracement back down to these lows again before that push higher towards 38.2 even. Retracement, another push higher towards 0.932, and then our long-term target of 0.937. So last week's catch for AUDCAD, whoever caught this, well done to you guys. What to expect now is potentially another retracement down lower to these lows before we start to push higher. So this one, we're starting to see a bit more clarity here for AUDCAD. Or what to expect here from these highs here is an imminent push higher and a consolidation, potentially even a drop down lower before 0.93 above that, and then 0.937 as our target. So yeah, these two scenarios most likely to be played out. We could potentially catch another AUDCAD at a discounted rate from these lows here. or we could see an imminent push higher towards 0.9246, attracts traders to sell, and we take it the other way for AUDCAD. AUDUSD, this one pushed right the way down below our discounted rate actually, and then just finished up just above our discounted rate. So what to expect here now is there's 0.1, we can actually take this trend line lower right here, 0.1. Let me get rid of a few trend lines because so what to expect here now is from the start of this week is we could have a shift down lower below 0.73243, attract more sellers in the market potentially before pushing up towards 0.74290, retracement, and then from here it's just going to probably consolidate and retrace even further down before pushing higher. So this scenario is most likely to be played out, or we could have an imminent shift higher and then consolidate for quite some time before pushing higher towards these levels before we get that 0.7. Well, my target for AUDUSD is 0.77 long term. So we could potentially start to take some profits off the table the moment, hold on. So the moment these areas, hold on, let me just copy this or clone it. So the moment we get a retracement from these areas here, this will be a beautiful area for us to potentially take profits off the table, and here, off the table, and here, and then we'll look at our long-term target of 0.77 when we get there. For now, we're just focusing on current price and where it's most likely bound to bounce from before that push higher. So that's that one for AUDCAD. Gold has been a fantastic trade. We managed to catch a short from all the way down here back in September 29th. We had a nice discounted rate. For those who are still currently holding this, you must be on some crazy pips right now, well above 13,000 pips. What to expect now from these highs is, let me just clear this chart because it's currently clogged up, as you guys can see, but currently expecting to see 1900 as our next target for gold. Get rid of this. So it's hit both of our TPs right here and right here. So what to expect from these highs now? Let's just focus on current price right now. So current price is right up here. So you can see that it's currently trying to attract sellers in the market because look at where price stopped. It stopped right here. So what to expect now is potentially a push down lower, as low as 1820 even, before continuing that momentum up towards 1909. So that's our target, 1909. Or we could have a massive impulsive wave higher to attract more sellers in the market, potentially before pushing up towards 1940 even. So the moment we get that weakness kicking in for the dollar, for now, looking at the dollar, let's have a look at it right now. It's just been skyrocketing from last week. But it's funny how the dollar has been rising as well as gold. So there's something fishy going on in the market at the moment. What to expect actually for the DX is from these current levels here, is probably sitting at standard deviation. Let's have a look at the standard deviation right now. It's currently sitting at standard deviation 2.9. That is 98% most likely bound to melt from these highs, the DXY. The DXY is most likely bound to melt from these highs. So what to expect now is potentially a retracement back down towards this level here. And then it will show us signs that it wants to push higher. The moment it will show signs that it starts to push higher, this will be the time to start selling the dollar towards 94, potentially another push higher, before coming back down towards 93.5 as our next target. And then potentially from here, a lot of consolidation before we get 92. So for now, we'll just focus on where we are and where we're most likely bound to get to, which is around here first before any further movement. Areas of TP. So the moment, so yeah, I reckon this scenario is going to be played out for the dollar. I don't see it going any higher. Let's just have a look at it on the daily standard deviation. Ooh, standard deviation on the daily is at 2 as well, so, and 2.9 on the 4 hours. So strong possibility, strong probability actually, that the dollar is bound to melt from these highs. So do keep a close eye on the dollar. USD Swiss franc, it has come to our discounted price. What to expect now is potentially a retracement down lower and then a spike through higher potentially. But the moment we start to get that dollar meltdown, guys, we're going to see 0.91170 relatively soon as our first target. So I'm just keeping this as it is from Wednesday. Nothing has changed for USD Swiss franc, still currently short from my perspective. New Zealand Swiss franc, this one was a beautiful trade actually. It hit our discounted rate from all the way up here. Whoever caught the sell for this one, well done to you guys. Currently sitting at 16, it's around 70 pips in profit. Overall 97 for those who probably took profit from these lows, but it has hit our first, well, it hasn't really hit my first target just yet, because my first target is around these areas. That's my second target. The first target is this one right here. So expecting to see 0.64353 first before a further meltdown. So I'm going to leave this one as it is as well, because it's playing out relatively well for New Zealand Swiss franc. Euro AUD. Euro AUD. This was a discounted rate from last week right here. For those who did catch that sell, well done. Expecting to see now our next target of around this area, this zone 1.54 to be targeted, or even below that for Euro AUD. And that's that really. Just wanted to touch up on these current trades that we're currently looking at. For volatility now, expecting volatility to rise potentially from the start of this week before we get that meltdown. Let's just see what we're like in terms of volatility here. Large speculators are overall short. A lot of buyers coming into the market from the retail traders' perspective, but they're overall short as well. Overall net short. So what to expect now is potentially a spike, a push higher, at least towards 25 for this upcoming week. So yeah, do keep this one in mind. We could start to potentially even buy the VIX from these lows. The further it goes down lower, ideally towards 13 or around 12.79, this will be a beautiful area to look for longs. But at this moment in time, yeah, still expecting to see 25 as our next target, yeah, for sure. So oil still bearish on this one. UJ bearish. Palladium looking for those longs. AUDCAD still currently long. AUDUSD expecting to see a push up higher potentially through to this week, or we can break down lower to attract some more buyers in the market, and then we could potentially look for some AUDCAD at a discounted, AUDUSD at a discounted rate. I'll get rid of this one here. Gold still expecting to see further push higher towards 1900 as our target. USD Swiss franc targeting 0.9170 as well as 0.9. So do keep an eye out of that. New Zealand Swiss franc has been pushing down lower from our highs, so still expecting to see these two targets to be hit. Euro AUD, this has been melting from day one from these highs. So what to expect from these lows now is potentially a push down towards 1.54. Dollar is sitting at standard deviation 2.9 and 3, expecting a major fall from these highs. Is there any questions before I finish up? Any questions? Well, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. If you do have any questions, or if something has arose and you wanted to ask me a question, feel free to just type it in the Telegram chat and I shall get back to you. But for now, have a pleasant week and I shall see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks very much once again. Take care, guys. Bye for now.